These 6 horrifying crocodile encounters could very well be the reason you never go near the water again. Number 6. In Silver Springs, Florida, 2 men on a calming kayaking adventure regretted paddling so close to a huge alligator. At first, they spot what seems to be a younger alligator minding its own business to the right of the boat. They simply pass it like normal and proceed to look to the left. For some reason, the man decides to lower his camera into the water right next to the predator. He thankfully manages to pull his hands out safely and proceeds to film the enormous beast as it unfortunately begins approaching the boat, fearing for their safety. The men decide to slow down the paddling and simply let the alligator swim ahead on its own. Number 5. A Florida man on a simple kayak came across an enormous alligator that didn't seem too happy to have a visitor. At first, he picks up his camera after spotting the animal in the water just a couple feet away from him. This is about a 7 or 8 alligator. Unfortunately, his boat begins to slowly drift towards the predator, which now leads him to begin to worry about his safety. Now just inches away, the intimidating animal takes a few steps back, but eventually stops to stand his ground. The man simply lets the boat completely pass over it and sits there in disbelief. Number 4. Australian YouTuber Last Cast Louis and his friend decided that it was a perfect day to go out and catch some fish. After arriving on an island, they begin looking around in hopes to find the perfect spot. Eventually, they come across a remote billabong and decide to settle there for a day. After multiple attempts, they finally managed to catch a fish, but unfortunately struggled to get it out of the water safely.
See if you can get it out of those weeds, and be careful because there'll be a croc there waiting. Be careful, don't get too close.
As Louis approaches the water to grab the fish with a stick, you can clearly see the head of a terrifying crocodile poking out and staring them down. Still thankfully unharmed by any of the predators, they put the fish back into the water and try to catch a few more. A few minutes go by when Louis spots the bubbles of a crocodile swimming in the direction, most likely waiting for its chance to attack. Luckily, they both realized that staying there is too risky and decide to call it a day. I can even begin to explain how lucky those two got. Number 3. A man briefly snorkeling in the Florida Everglades sadly had absolutely no idea what he was about to get himself into. At first, he spent most of his time exploring the bottom of the swamp and manages to find a few interesting objects to show off to the camera. Eventually, he seems to be finding his way through the murky water when he unknowingly decides to look below. After briefly approaching the predator, it suddenly walks off to his left, which lets him to spot another alligator lurking to his left. Thankfully, he manages to safely get away from it and proceeds to continue with his dive, expecting it to go as planned. A few minutes of calmly swimming around go by when he suddenly hears something swimming to his left. At this point, he begins to feel worried about his safety and decides to swim away before things turn for the worse. Number 2. On a river in Texas, a man on a peaceful kayaking trip had absolutely no idea what he was getting himself into. At first, he appears to be calmly paddling down the river when the unthinkable happens. Although worrisome, he still decides to continue on his adventure, but very quickly regrets his decision. Unfortunately, the man stops recording and most likely paddled away from the area altogether. Yeah, thank you for watching this video until the end. We hope that you like it. Please hit like and subscribe to see more wildlife heart-stopping moments. And comments to let us know what do you think about these crocodiles. See ya in the next video.